Loneliness is not a lack of people. It is a lack of yourself. You can be in a room full of friends and still feel like a ghost drifting through a graveyard. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who founded analytical psychology, spent his entire career mapping the hidden geography of the human mind. He believed that the modern experience of loneliness is a symptom of a deeper structural failure. We are not suffering because we are disconnected from others. We are suffering because we have become disconnected from the architecture of our own souls. In 1928, Jung published two essays on analytical psychology. In these pages, he articulated the concept of individuation. He argued that the primary purpose of a human life is to become the specific person you were always intended to be. If you avoid this task, you will feel empty. You will feel an aching, chronic loneliness that no amount of social interaction can cure. Jung identified four primary reasons why we experience this profound state of isolation. First, the exile of the shadow. Jung taught that we all possess a shadow, a collection of traits, desires, and impulses that we deem unacceptable. We hide these parts of ourselves from society and, eventually, from our own conscious awareness. We want to be good, so we bury our aggression, our selfishness, and our darker curiosity. But when you bury a part of yourself, you create a split in your own being. You are no longer whole. You are walking around as a fragmented version of a human. When you interact with others, you are not really there. You are presenting a curated mask. Because the mask is not a living thing, it cannot feel genuine intimacy. Your loneliness is the sound of the parts of you that you've abandoned, screaming for your attention. Second, the loss of the collective unconscious. Jung argued that we are connected to one another through a vast, shared reservoir of archetypes. These are the ancient, universal patterns of experience: the hero, the mother, the wise old man, the trickster. In the 21st century, we have traded these deep, resonant myths for shallow digital noise. We have replaced the profound symbolic life with the hollow metrics of social media engagement. When you engage with TikTok trends or Twitter arguments, you are skimming the surface of existence. You aren't tapping into the collective human experience. You are drowning in a sea of triviality. Jung believed that without a symbolic life, we become neurotic. We feel a void that cannot be filled by external validation. Third, the projection of the anima and animus. Jung noted that men and women often fall into a trap of soul projection. If you are a man, you might project your internal feminine side, the anima, onto a romantic partner. You expect them to complete you. You expect them to carry the weight of your internal emotional world. When that person inevitably fails to live up to the godlike status you've assigned them, you feel betrayed and isolated. You realize that you were never in love with them. You were in love with a mirror. You are lonely because you have outsourced your own soul to someone else, and they are not strong enough to hold it for you. Fourth, the refusal of the individual journey. Jung once remarked that the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of their parents. Many people live their lives following scripts written by their families, their culture, or their bosses. They do not know what they actually believe. They do not know what they actually want. They are terrified of the silence because, in the silence, they might hear the voice of their own calling. To be alone is to be forced to encounter your own agency. If you spend your life avoiding that encounter, you will feel a constant, nagging sense that you are living a life that belongs to a stranger. So, how do we fix this? How do we stop the bleeding? Jung would tell you that you must stop trying to solve your loneliness through social distraction. Stop chasing parties, stop scrolling through feeds, and stop seeking approval from people who do not know who you are. You must turn inward. This is the process of shadow work. You must sit in the dark and ask yourself what parts of you have been neglected. What anger have you denied? What ambition have you silenced? You must integrate these pieces. You must become a messy, complicated, fully realized human being. In his 1957 autobiography, Memories, Dreams, Reflections, Jung wrote that he had never felt lonely in the sense of being isolated because he had his own company. He was never alone because he was always in conversation with the deepest parts of himself. This is the shift in perspective you need. Loneliness is an invitation. It is not a punishment from the universe. It is a sign that your current way of living has reached its expiration date. You are feeling this because you are capable of being more than what you are right now. The modern world is designed to keep you distracted. It is designed to keep you running. If you are constantly occupied, you never have to look at the cracks in the foundation. But those cracks are where the light gets in. Do not run from the loneliness. Lean into it. Treat it like a visitor who has traveled a long distance to deliver an urgent message. That message is that you have been neglecting the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with your own soul. You are the only person who will be with you from the first breath to the last. Everyone else is a guest in your life, but you are the host. If the host is absent, the house will always feel empty. Stop looking for yourself in the eyes of others. Start looking for yourself in the dark. You are not waiting for someone to complete you. You are waiting for yourself to arrive. Once you do, you will find that you are never truly alone because you have finally become the one person you were meant to be. The void you feel is not a lack of company. It is the space where your true self is waiting to be born. Ask yourself tonight, who are you when there is no one around to impress, no one to please, and no one to judge you? If you do not know the answer, that is not a tragedy. It is simply the beginning of your work.